He's black. And he's white. He grew up in the city.
And he's a farm boy from Utah.
He's a Democrat.
And he's a Republican.
On paper, we couldn't be more different.
And yet,
We're both dads.
we both love college basketball.
We both have really stylish haircuts.
And we're both proud Americans.
We disagree passionately on lots of issues.
But we're friends. And we respect each other.
Politics is important, but it shouldn't define us or destroy our relationships.
His name is Spencer Cox.
And his name is Wes Moore. And we approve this message.
I'll go.
Ignoring the existence of the system of racism, white supremacy, white friends, non-existent for non-white people.
Um, yeah, the term American gets brought up again. There's always confusion around that term. Of course, I also did write down friends. The whole thing with them being somewhat the actual saying by liking some sort of a sport. That's not logical. And then, of course, the actual falsehood of this tragic arrangement of you being somewhat of a friend to a white person. When really, no, it just comes down to those three T's. It's either tacky, trashy, or then it probably turns into terroristic, especially in a in a sporting environment when it promotes alcohol and basically drugs of that nature. So, but yeah, very false, very false.
I think this is, even though you called him a victim, he is a victim of racism, the non-white male. Uh, he was lied on also when the racist said we're both fathers. Can't be a father. You don't qualify as a man. And this is one of the incidences they're promoting this that all of us have either been forced into, tricked into, or seduced into for treats and trinkets. And that's to act like white supremacy racism does not exist. To act like we're not dominated by them. Sometimes white people and non-white people agree to silently pretend that racism doesn't exist.
They asked me, why are you a Nazi?
Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength.
White people do feel like we are being boxed out.
A 26-year-old white kid doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
I
said
the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago.
Do you get what I'm saying
Yes.
about the Holocaust things?
About that. We get to say whatever we want on the internet. We get to deny the Holocaust. As far as Jews are concerned in general, I think that everybody in the country should be treated with dignity and respect and have their civil rights.
Like, what do you think about somebody like Mamdani?
All right, now I should have audio. That's unfortunate. I don't know how much was lost, but hopefully the Discord picked it up on the recording. But as I was saying, who in recorded history has committed the same criminal acts as white people, killing large numbers of people, subjugating large numbers of people? Only white people have this behavior patterns. They are the masters of crime, the masters of evil. So when we see Nick Fuentes here in this clip, referring to the crime problem in Chicago. Who's responsible for conditioning the minds of non-white people to be volatile and hostile towards each other? White people have done this. White people are responsible for all of the world's problems because the entire world has been dominated by white people and this system of white supremacy. And we have simply been taught to behave like white people, like white supremacists. We've been taught to think and behave like them. So when we see non-white people harming each other in any area of the world, whether it's Chicago or somewhere in Africa somewhere, we are seeing individuals who act white. They've been conditioned and taught to act white, and acting white is mistreating people on the basis of color. And I'll pause there to see if folks want to chime in.
Whites are the definition of chaos, meaning they create havoc and offer solutions. And their solutions are the confusion and the behaviors that you see for non-white people globally.
Yeah, this whole clip is just, you know, deception. Uh, the actual phrasing that they said that they're like, white people are being boxed out. Like, that's not going on anywhere in the known universe. Also, they're like somehow being canceled. That's not true. Then of course they bring up Chicago as if that's the only crime-ridden city. Well, I, I would just say just in the U.S. And then of course the Jew term. But again, like this entire clip is just all deception. So I'll mute there.
I'd never try to have a serious recorded conversation with anybody classified as white until I get them to admit that to be white is to be a willing participant in the system of people who call themselves white in their domination and abuse of people based on color. That's what it means to be white. We have to stop letting them do that in private too. When they come around us talking about white this or white that, or even if victims do, we have to ask them, well, since there's no biological nor genetic marker for whiteness, what do you mean when you say you're white? How do you be white? Or if a black person starts saying white this and black people this and our differences based on some illusions or some rhetoric given by the racists, ask black people, do you really know what it means to be white? To be white. But that's it.
Thank you, Monsu and Evolutionist and Ray. We have this behavior pattern I've observed amongst white supremacists is them being deceptive and having the victim mentality. White people cannot be boxed out from their system that they control and dominate. White people hold the power over non-white people worldwide. They are the ones who box out non-white people, kill them, demean them, and have reduced us into a very confused people who do not understand our purpose is to replace white supremacy with justice. They do not allow us to evolve in that direction. They have us totally confused because they have a constant bombardment of deceptive information like we're revealing here on this broadcast. So like I said earlier, we have 3 white supremacists on this screen with varying levels of refinement. And I'm sure if we were to go through this whole interview, we would probably be able to see more evidence of how they use deception and how they lie. But they will probably copyright strike us for doing that. So, and we really don't need to do it. We're only like, we watched 1 minute of this clip, and we've already have revealed how they use deception, how they use words to deceive and lie, and to maintain this system, because that's what they're doing here. They're maintaining the system. This conversation is not gonna go any direction about producing justice. No one here is going to say, hey, instead of arguing about, you know, how many Jews died in the Holocaust or the so-called crime in Chicago, how about we just all work together to produce justice? How about we guarantee no one is mistreated and everyone gets the help that they need? You will likely not find any white person promoting this concept, because most white people, from my observation, are dedicated and would appreciate having the system of white supremacy here forever. Their comforts, their glory they get from maintaining the system of white supremacy is more important than helping the people of planet Earth produce balance between people. They have proven to be a selfish collective, a vile collective, and a collective of people that will not go in any direction of justice unless an effective number of non-white people force them to do it. By using our thought, speech, and action, we must force the white supremacists to either help us to produce justice or to kill all non-white people. That is how we solve this problem. We're going to move on to the next clip, unless folks have something else to add to this.
I got out the SEAL teams. I was so mad that if I hadn't got out the SEAL teams, I would have plugged somebody, right? Like there would have been.
You didn't like being a SEAL or what? That was like my childhood dream.
Listen, being a SEAL was the best job in the world, Nick.
Right.
But having 58 N negative things happen with the N word and like that, they would hang. Nick, did you ever have a doll hung in your locker from a noose?
I had the whole noose thing when I went to sniper section.
A doll hung in your locker from a noose?
I had the whole noose thing when I went to sniper section. Yeah.
Okay.
I had the whole noose.
A noose. You saw a noose.
Yeah, I've seen a noose. Yeah.
Did they ever fill your cage up with horse shit?
No.
Okay. Did they super glue your radio to country?
No.
Okay. So like, but
these
like,
things are funny, Jake. I'm laughing with you.
I'm with you, right? Like, but the shit get old after a while, right? Like, yeah. Like I sent 4 dudes to the dentist when I was at SEAL Team 8. Okay. And like, I mean, I tell everybody, this is the worst one. Like, I'm walking down the hall. Our hallways were a little narrow. Some E5 just like almost like body blowed me and was like, get out of my way, N. And I was like, oh, clearly you want to go outside. He was like, that's exactly what I want. And because
you're
I
an
was
officer.
whooping it. Yeah. 03,
what?
bro. Yeah. And so I took him outside, took the teeth out his mouth.
Good God.
And then next thing you know, Master Chief talking to me, XO talking to me, Jake, why are you beating these people up? I said, listen, man, if you can't control these people, I'm going to continue to pound on these motherfuckers. Because so far, I ain't lost. So until someone come in this motherfucker can beat me, you open your mouth, I'm taking teeth out your mouth.
All right. So here we have here a number of victims of racism who went out and killed other people on behalf of racism, white supremacy. So-called military-industrial complex only serves to maintain a system of white supremacy worldwide through violence, indirect violence, or the threat of violence. That is what the military is for. There's no honor in being in the military. There's no justice in being in the military. It's simply an arm of white supremacy that delves into destruction of people worldwide. So we have the bald black male. I must say A+ to him for practicing counter violence. He was being mistreated on the basis of his color, and according to him, he knocked out. He practiced counter violence. Counter violence. You heard him. I'm not gonna repeat what he said. You heard it. But also, what we can learn from this clip is that it does not matter what title white people say you have. It does not even matter if they gave you this title, because he was a higher rank than the white supremacist who mistreated him. And the white supremacists did not care about that title. The white supremacists still called him a nigger. You know, he's in the special forces, having nooses hung in his locker and his cage being filled with horse shit. This is what the white supremacy is all about: mistreating non-white people worldwide, and in a number of ways. It could be I'm not gonna go into, not gonna give details to keep the broadcast brief, but it manifests in mistreatment. So it does not matter that these black males risked their existences, risk death for white people and their system. When they come home, they are still niggers. And this should be motivation for everyone in the so-called army, military, any branch of the military, to evolve into a person who was dedicated to producing justice. So no one needs to be sent overseas to snipe someone or blow someone up or kill someone. These are all primitive, barbaric actions taking place on this system, because white people are very primitive, very barbaric. They did not take over the world by being intelligent. They took over the world by being barbarians, by killing without thought, killing and still being able to go to sleep at night and rest well, to wake up and do it all over again, until we got here in 2026, where they have dominated the whole world. Any thoughts before we move on? Greetings, still learning. Brandon Williams, greetings everyone. Greetings, rate this record. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope this broadcast is of constructive value. Go ahead.
Two things. For one, this has the book American Sniper by a Chris Kyle written all over it. And number two, it seems like even within the clip, it's a lot of laughing to keep from crying. So, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that I also noticed that emotional response to this black male sharing his story of being terrorized, being met with laughter. That's how we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to laugh at our pain, laugh at our misery, not to counter it, not to counter it. That's the best word to use. And therefore, we are failing to develop strategies, develop a code to eliminate these sorts of interactions, eliminate these occurrences from happening. And we have from the chat from Brandon, I don't think victims understand what it means to be white. I think he may be on something there. I don't think the system does not allow us to understand much of anything about what's happening on planet Earth. It takes a non-white person's wanting and using their will to find out and study the truth, that which is. The system is very, very simple. Mistreating non-white people on the basis of their color. It's very simple, but the system has reduced non-white people, their minds. They have reduced our minds so much that we are unable to think correctly about the things we observe on this planet. They have filled our minds with so many lies that we will think we understand what's happening, but we are just believing more lies and thinking, oh, it's not all white people and racism is not that bad. But these are inaccuracies. White supremacy is the worst concept ever imagined, the worst thing ever produced by people. But fortunately, anything put together by people can be taken apart by people. And fortunately, white people are about 7% of the world's population. So non-white people outnumber white people by a lot. So it should not be that difficult to amass an effective number of non-white people being on code. Go to producejustice.com to understand what being on code means. Or until then, until a book arrives, you go check out our book study on the code book to get further understanding of what being on code means and how the code can allow us to produce justice. Any more comments on this clip?
Economics, the use of time and energy. If they dominate our time and energy by the things we must do just to survive, we have to choose to develop time and energy for counter-racist activities, counter-racist psychotherapy, counter-racist decoding of reality, counter-racist exchange of ideas, counter-racist pursuit of truth when reading, doing research. They've taken from us our ambition to even aspire towards universal man and woman, with the wasting of our time, with our acts of cowardice repeated over and over and over that fill us with shame and guilt. And sometimes, unfortunately, some of the things we've been engaged in, sexually or socioeconomically. So they make us feel like we're not worth developing ourselves. We're not worth the effort. And we have to choose that that's not so. That black male and those black males who learn to be killing machines for racists still had enough dignity to know how they wanted to be treated. You can only evolve in your mind towards justice when you face the reality of your abuse, domination, and mistreatment. That's why in the refined stage, they really demand that we deny, pretend, and create falsehood for ourselves, because they know once you begin to pay attention to how you are being treated, how you have been treated, your mind will naturally gravitate towards justice, towards not wanting to be mistreated for any reason, not wanting to mistreat others for any reason, when you realize what whiteness has done unto you. So time and energy, that black male took apart time and energy in his own mind to say, I won't let them go this far. No matter what they've given me or taught me, I'm standing right here and willing to die on this line. That's easy compared to all the other things we have to do. Knocking them out and whooping their ass is easy.
Thank you, Evolutionist for Justice. Still Learning says, insanity is a requirement for sustaining the business model of racism and white supremacy. I think that's an accurate statement.
Brutal attack at a popular festival up north, leaving a local family desperate for answers and a man fighting for his life. Fox 2's Jamie Sherrod is live with more. Jamie, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Amy, this all happened at Bliss Music Festival in Harbor Springs near Petoskey.
Answers and a man fighting for his life. Fox 2's Jamie Sherrod is live with more. Jamie, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Amy, this all happened at Bliss Music Festival in Harbor Springs near Petoskey. 37-year-old Lon Hartman was there with his dance partner and a few others to perform at the event. But it's what happened hours later that's leaving his family with a lot of questions and a community shaken.
On Saturday evening, he had went to bed early after his dance performance. And the next morning he was found around 9 a.m. hanging out of his tent with two large lacerations right above his collarbone and right below it. And that he had lost 8 pints of blood. And, it was looking like he shouldn't be alive right now is basically what they were saying. There's no way he should be alive with the amount of blood that he lost. You ask anyone about him, they will tell you he would give the shirt off his back for anybody. And frankly, we're all shocked and in disbelief of who would do something to such a sweet person. He did not deserve this. And from all the evidence we've gathered, it looks like, it could have been a hate crime at this point.
How important is it to get justice in this situation for Lon?
I think it's very important because no one deserves this. And if this was anyone else's family member, everyone would want justice. And I feel that a person out there is a threat to everyone's freedom and everyone's health and stability in this area.
Yeah, the family wants to make it clear this was not a suicide attempt. They say hours before, Lon reached out saying he did not feel safe. They say it's been challenging working with police there, the Emmett County Sheriff's Office. They say that they are investigating and this remains an active priority. There has been a GoFundMe page created to help with medical expenses at this time as Lon Hartman remains in the intensive care unit. Back to you.
Okay, so Jamie, obviously losing all that blood, those severe cuts, I'm guessing they've not actually been able to speak with him in any meaningful way yet?
They have been able to communicate with him, Amy, not verbally. He's been blinking and they've been communicating with him that way. So, for instance, one blink may mean yes, 2 blinks that may mean no. So that's all they can do right now because traumatic attack, severe injuries, at this point, that is the only way they can communicate with him.
So we have here black male on the job being nearly killed by white supremacists. That's what occurred here. Black male performing because that's what he chose to spend his time, energy learning how to do, becoming a performer so he could perform at music festivals. That's what I was able to gather. So while on the job, he was targeted by a number of white supremacists for them to practice white supremacy. White supremacy is very ritualistic, I would describe it. And one of those rituals is mistreating non-white people. And one form of mistreatment they love doing is killing non-white people. So that's what occurred here. We saw one non-white female saying that he needs justice. Yes, he does need justice, but justice does not mean finding the people who did this and throwing them in prison. Those people, white supremacists, do not deserve the air they breathe. Justice would mean that this black male and no one else on the planet is ever mistreated and everyone gets the help that they need. That would be justice. We must unlearn and evolve from thinking justice has anything to do with law and the courts. It does not. It absolutely does not. Yet the creator allowed this black male to survive this interaction. I do hope that he finds the code and he promotes the code. That would be the best outcome from him, I would say. And I'll pause there.
I performed at this festival myself, dancing, years ago. All white folk music fest in an all-white city, Harbor Springs and Petoskey. I used to live in Harbor Springs. All white, rich tourist white town, right on the water. in northern Michigan. I was introduced to it, of course, by racist women. The next day after this happened, a white woman called me and told me she was there the morning they found his body, or found him. And she said when she saw it, and everybody discussed it while they were putting him on the gurney, somebody tried to kill him and thought he was dead, and he made it out. She said, out of her own mouth, I didn't bring it up, she said, if you guys think this is all like some suicide or random, and all these black males are being killed all of a sudden out in public and left to die and mutilated, and you're crazy. That's what she said to me. She said to me, if I'm not connecting the dots, that this is about the overall practice of racism, white supremacy, then I'm lying to myself. And I could appreciate that from this racist. She loves the racial focal point. And she saw his body, or what was left of him. And they all agreed. Now there's thousands and thousands and thousands of white people who go to this festival. It's about 4 or 5 days. And I've spent the night there. The way it's a bunch of sex. Once it gets later in the night, everybody's having sex with everybody. Men having sex, white men having sex with white men, white women having sex with white women, in every way which loose. But one thing I know that 4 days after they took him to the hospital, they performed a rape kit on his body. He still hadn't been able to allow to see any visitors or talk to anyone. But they performed a rape kit on a black male. Just from the fact that the cuts were around his throat. And when I learned about the rape kit, I said, oh, I know what was happening. He was getting plugged by some white man, and they decided to ritually kill his ass. That's what probably happened. He was up there laying with whites and got caught slipping. He comes from a racist who doesn't seem to be raising much fuss. It's more non-white people. And she was in the military and in the law enforcement, so-called police. But she ain't on every channel. She ain't on every news outlet. She seeming very meek and quiet. Very meek and quiet. The only ones speaking up are victims who unfortunately are tethered to racists and have sex with racists. So this isn't a rare thing. Up in that area, if you don't let them know, you will kill one of them for putting their hands on you, then you're going to have a whole lot of social interaction where hostile whites are telling you to grin and bear it. Grin and bear it. That's all.
Sir, unless I heard that correctly, you said that you've been there and you performed. Do the majority of non-white people who go to that area know that they're going to be extremely outnumbered by white people?
The performers I met over a couple years that were black, no, usually they didn't know. But there's some black people who go back every year. There's a black female singer from the South, but she relocated to Michigan. Her and her husband, he may have passed away by now, but he played the bass guitar, I believe. Thornetta is her name, I believe. Yeah, she took the name Thornetta. But no, most of the black musicians I met, they were like, man, we had no idea. But see, they have so much money up there, that Bliss Fest. It's in a city called Bliss, not far from a city called Hell. Yeah, white people. Bliss and Hell, right by each other. They have so much money, they cut the checks first. Like a lot of people are told to come to these smaller music venues and they'll pay you after. And it may be a while after, once they get all their money from the vendors. But they have enough money to cut a $30,000 check and you ain't never been there. And if you struggling and you jumping on it. I performed with the group that Barack Obama said was his favorite group. They had won the Chicago Music Fest competition a couple of years in a row. I performed with them. And most of them were non-white. About 90% were non-white. I think they had 1 or 2 band members. It was about 15 people too. But even then, I was beginning to ask questions about racism and how other non-white people were treated. And I remember that causing half of the group there to they didn't talk to me for like 3 days after. But one of the main dancers and the lead singer, he was very interested in talking about racism, even though he was still had his mind poisoned and compromised by laying with racists. Don't forget that's the coup de grace. And so they usually get black males to come up there with that, also with the promise and understanding that you're going to get your pick of dirty feet white girls.
Any more comments on this incident? Alrighty, moving along. And this is a great segue. Thank you, evolutionists, for bringing up the abhorrent act that should never take place while white supremacy exists. Non-white people should never have sex with white people while racism exists, ever. For your safety and most importantly for your mind. One of the most damaging things to a non-white person's mind is going to the bedroom with white people. It further diminishes our ability to think and evolve towards the direction of producing justice.
I believe that Neely Fuller, the author of the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept, also said that it inhibits the non-white person ability to see correctly. You have too many, quote, blonde hairs in your eye, end quote.
Amen. It makes you a political simpleton. You cannot think past the weapon that they've used against your mind, which is sex. The fear of losing out on gutter, trash, sex, and racist masochism is too great to pay attention to reality, so you can recover yourself out of the sunken place. Now, you can get out alive, or a prison sentence, or some type of other drug dependency that to becomes a greater confinement inside of the prison of being sexually sewered by a racist.
Precisely. Smokey Damages, I sent you a link if you want to hop in and participate. All right. Again, this is a great segue into the next clip.
Peace. Black woman posts a video of her first date, a hinge date, a running date with a white man who runs far ahead of her deep into the woods behind God back. And when they get to a narrow straight, he turns to her and says, "This is where I'd planned to kill you." He sees that she's recording and then he jokes. I'm just kidding. Now, when the black woman posts this, of course, other black women give her the old "girl, you in danger" in her comments, to which this black woman responds with mocking and dismissing said black women, saying that it was only dark humor and that they need to lighten up, neither pun intended, and that she plans on seeing him again. But hey, this is a sociolinguistics page, which brings us to the sociolinguistics lesson, today being an idiom that perhaps you've heard before, and it's common in the Gullah Geechee community. Let the hide go with the hair. Now, let the hide go with the hair means essentially the same thing, whether it's H-A-I-R or H-A-R-E. Basically, let things that go together stay together. To the women in her comments, I say to you, let the hide go with the hair. She is right where she wants to be. This is a recurring theme for black folks who just simply cannot be without the company and validation of white folks. They don't find it dangerous to be the only black person in the crowd. They want to be the only black person in the crowd. Even if there have been many red flags, that's where they want to be. But if by chance there is a chance to save them from said sunken place, I'll give it a shot. In the words of the great black American orator, Patrick Earl Houston, don't save her. She don't want to be saved.
All right. So you hear right now, I paused it where she says, the moment I wasn't sure I see my parents again. Yet, this does not prompt her to turn around, to create distance from her and this white supremacist. Nope, she is still following like a pet. If you have been conditioned to want to go to the bedroom with white people, you are functionally acting like a pet. Pets don't do much thinking. They do a lot of obeying and being taken care of. So maybe that's what she's hoping for. To be taken care of by this white supremacist. The white supremacist said, this is where I planned on killing you. Now, maybe during his jog, he thought, you know what? I won't kill this one. I'll just rape and make her a sex toilet and make her mind even more horrendous. Because the black female appears to be somewhat attractive physically. This white man, grotesque. Absolutely grotesque looking. But, so maybe he changed his mind and said, I won't kill this one. I'm just going to rape her, destroy her mind, make her hate herself even further because of what I'm going to subject her to in the bedroom and outside of the bedroom by her pretending that that's my girlfriend when he knows this is just my toy, my pet, my plaything until I find another. And the depravity that white supremacists puts in the minds of black people who go to the bedroom with white people is that I'm still gonna go see him. I still want me a white man. This is an extreme example of immense confusion and immense self-hate. And I hope this black female is able to come from under her depraved mental state so that she is not like the millions of black people who have perished simply because they thought they had a white husband, a white wife, a white friend, a white boyfriend, a white girlfriend, a white lover, a white partner, and the list goes on. That's all I have to say. Anyone else?
The moment. Oh,
Go ahead,
go ahead.
Tom.
Okay, thank you. The moment where I wasn't sure I'd see my parents again, this reminds me of Sade Robinson and when Gus interviewed her mother, Sheena Scarborough, and I remember Gus asking her if at any time, I'm paraphrasing, if she attempted to educate Sade on the system of white supremacy, to suspect white people of being racist. And I remember she said that the long answer made short, no. And that's part of the confusion. During the system of racism, white supremacy, it is incorrect to have any type of sexual contact with white people. Yes. It leads to too much confusion. You're not suspicious of them being a racist. And your definition of racism, you're going to have to refine that, because yes, that does mean killing you. Yes, that does mean dismembering you. Doing the greatest harm imaginable. You know, it's much more than just not liking you because you're not white. So we're going to have to refine our understanding of racism, white supremacy, what it means to be white.
Any more comments? Thank you, Ray. So for folks who don't know, Sade Robinson was a black female who also went on a date with a white supremacist. She didn't understand that he was a white supremacist simply for the fact that he wanted to engage with her in any manner that was not helping her producing justice. They don't have to interact for him to produce justice, to help to produce justice. So she went on a date, quote unquote date, with a white man, and he cut her head off. So do not go to the bedroom with white people. If an effective number, if large numbers of non-white people declare, you know what, I'm not having sex with white people at all, that will do numbers to help our minds remain focused or get focused on eliminating racism and producing justice. It would also reveal how deranged and evil white supremacists are, because I think they would respond very violently, very chaotically to non-white people simply saying, you know what, we're not having sex with you guys anymore. We're not. The very little agency that we do have while subjected to the prison system of white supremacy, we're going to use that to control who we allow access to our bodies. Because this is not the chattel form of white supremacy where they can just come to our cell and rape us willy-nilly. They've refined it so that it takes a few extra steps for them to rape us. So, no sex with white people. Any more comments before we move on?
Excuse me, sir. I have a question for you. What do you do every day to dismantle systemic racism for your black queen?
Wait, I'm trying to see something. I'm trying to see something.
Yeah, or at least a week or a month or something.
I mean, I try to educate myself as much as I can.
Okay, I love that's a great answer.
Sorry.
Heads or tails?
Tails.
Coin flip on shuffle. Okay, I'm gonna listen. Okay, go ahead. You say some more.
You know, I know there's never going to be a complete understanding on my behalf, but I can do everything I can to, you know, understand what it's like to be a black person in the United States the best I can. You know, there's never going to be a concrete answer as to how I can relate, but I can do what I can to understand and kind of look at it through your guys' lens as to what your lives are like here and do my best to be an advocate.
That's a decent answer, Queen. That's decent.
That was not a decent answer. That was jargon and lies. This white supremacist knows exactly what it means to be a black person in the system of white supremacy. He also understands what it means to be white. He also understood that, hey, this black male talking to me, he probably doesn't even he's probably not even that serious about producing justice or racism. You know, he's doing this for attention, not to solve the problem of white supremacy racism. So this white supremacist is going to go on to rape this black female we see on the screen and whoever else he pleases, because he has that power, the ability to deceive the minds of victims of racism, because the system makes it easy for them, because from birth we are indoctrinated and lied to think that, hey, white people can be all right. They can be chill. But the evidence reveals that going to the bedroom with white people is very detrimental to one's mental health, spiritual health, and physical health. You know, just the word, he just bombarded this black male with this jargon, a combination of words that didn't reveal much, and the black male accepted it. Pitiful. Any comments?
Can I be heard?
Loud and clear.
Okay. The old timey phrasing to where they had to be so like somehow educated. That I was on. Him saying that he didn't have any complete understanding about how black people operate globally. Another one was he wants to look at it from a black lens. Like I said, more confusion, and then of course, like I said, the black male just blindly accepting these answers when really you're not really questioning about his answers at all. You're just questioning, hearing a response, and then if it's somehow favorable, you agree. So that's not really questioning a white person. So, but yeah, I'm mute there.
Any white person that says that they need to be educated about racism, that in itself is a deliberate act of racism. White people know what they need to know about being white by the time they're 4 or 5, 6 years old. So don't let anyone white tell you that they need to be educated on your experience, your existence. If you make them upset enough, they'll let you know that they have an outstanding understanding about their position and your position.
Precisely. Thank you, Ray and Monsoon. Yeah, and that's a really tacky and easy observable behavior pattern. I need to be educated on racism. White people are not ignorant about racism. It's the non-white people of the planet worldwide. Where you see most non-white people, we do not understand racism, white supremacy, what it is, and how it works. This smiling, confused black female on the screen does not have any understanding of white supremacy racism. That's how she found herself in grave danger, hanging out with this grotesque white supremacist.
I guess my last point is just these past 3 clips. I don't think any black person has a definition of racism and white supremacy. So I'll just leave it at that.
Did you say you don't think any black person or white person has that definition?
I said black person. Again, based on the news clip with the festival, to the actual next clip where we have a black female just running as exercise, and then her confusion, and then of course this black male passing around these questions to quote unquote interracial couples. Yeah, I don't think anyone from these 3 clips have a clear definition of racism. So yeah.
Yeah, and the evidence suggests that's true. No definition, nor the will to find a definition, nor the will to counter racism and white supremacy, because they have received enough comfort to make their mind docile oblivious, and unwilling to evolve. Moving on.
Colorado inmate who died this month had asked for new trial due to errors in lab evidence by Missy Woods. When he died, Michael Fisher was seeking to overturn his murder conviction, claiming there was substantial evidence his trial was tainted by Woods. A Colorado inmate who died this month at Bent County Correctional Facility was seeking to overturn his murder conviction based on alleged forensic misconduct by former CBI analyst Missy Woods. According to court filings that detail previously undisclosed problems with evidence testing in his case. Michael Fisher, who was serving a life sentence for first-degree murder, died June 6 inside the medium-security private prison under circumstances.
I tried to speed it up, and now it's bugging out.
Michael Fisher, who was serving a life sentence for first-degree murder, died Michael Fisher, who was serving a life sentence for first-degree murder, died June 6 inside the medium-security private prison under circumstances that remain largely shrouded in secrecy, as state officials refuse to publicly discuss what happened. Fisher and another inmate, Charles Gates, died the same day after what authorities called an incident at the prison. But officials have not said what caused their deaths. The investigation into their deaths remains ongoing. The filings shed no light on how Fisher died, but reveal new details about the conviction he was trying to overturn. According to motions filed this week by his attorney, a CBI review found incorrectly reported test results and evidence that laboratory work on the case continued after a forensic report in his case had already been issued. Woods also testified in his trial. Fisher was convicted of a 1996 killing in Adams County, according to court records. Fisher and another person planned to steal drugs from a woman, and when the woman refused to hand over the drugs, Fisher's accomplice shot and killed the woman.